I'm Tim Kittro, and here to bring home the bacon are Big Ryan the Fat Guy.
Yeah, I can't find Bruce Arians' hat anywhere on the internet. What's up, YouTube? It's the NFL Picks Against the Spread for Week 9 for the 21-22 NFL season. Fat Guy, we are 61-56-3, good for 52.1%. On to Thursday's game, New York Jets at the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are 10.5-point favorites despite this grandiose win from the New York Jets.
Mike White led grand win for the New York Jets, crushing a lot of survivor pools. And let's break it down here. Slow it just a second. This is the Halloween edition. I've dressed up as a fat unemployed loser, and Big Rye has dressed up as someone who has to knock on people's doors when he moves. Anyways, I'll be taking the New York Jets at 10.5. I think you just said it, closing line value. That could be had, I think, at 10.5. Because for once, I don't think there's going to be a landslide in bets on the Colts. Bets against the Jets rather than on the Colts. 10.5, I think this settles around 10. I actually do. Maybe even 9.5. Don't forget, this is the magic number that the market settled on with Cincinnati. I could see it changing a little bit with the Colts here, and I think CLV can be attained on the Jets, and I like this price, Jets plus 10.5.
Next up, Atlanta Falcons at the New Orleans Saints. Saints are 5.5-point favorites at home. Fat Guy, what do you think about this game?
Well, who's playing at quarterback here? Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, or Trevor Siemian, right? With that uncertainty is enough for me to take the Atlanta Falcons. I think this closes a lot lower if Trevor Siemian plays, and if an injured Jameis Winston plays, I'd be okay with that too. I'm not sure to the extent of Jameis's injuries. There's a lot of that. This is one thing that we don't have any expertise or specialty in is, guesstimating injuries or turning injury news into a probability. So it's a little bit tougher for us, but when in doubt, take the points. And I think this is one of those cases because, obviously there is a probability that Simeon plays. I'm not sure how big or how low that is. But I'm going to be taking the Atlanta Falcons because 5.5 is probably a good number if indeed Trevor Siemian plays. This could be one of those in the road ones because a healthy Jameis, this could be 6.5 or 7. This is already maybe baked in, but I don't know. We've seen worse lines, much like Cleveland Denver that opened at 6. So maybe they're just behind a little bit, and this might be one of those cases. So I think it's a good time to take Atlanta and the 5.5 points, despite the I had to add one more thing. Saints are a big due down for Fat Guy after this viewing. This is one of those wins where the Saints actively, I think, did everything coaching wise to lose the game. They have it on the goal line after a flag first down, and they have 2 timeouts left for the Bucks, and they throw it 3 times, only making the Bucks use 1 timeout. They took 0 time off the clock at 1:42. Sure, they got an interception to win the game, but that's grossly incompetent. They could have ran the ball twice and ran a 3rd time and taken the clock down to a minute 2. You know what I mean? Not including the plot, so under a minute, and leave Tampa Bay with no timeouts, right? So thus giving yourself a far better chance, but just insanity, I think, from the time management and play choices from the Saints. So I'm really down on them. And you got to think people always say, oh, I like the defense. I like the player stuff's been done to death. Coaching decisions are starting to become a thing, and I don't think the lines have adjusted for it. I know I went long on this, but I'm going to be using this as a tiebreaker for me when it comes to prognosticating Saints line movements, and I'll be against them a lot purely because these coaching decisions are abysmal. So Atlanta and the points in short.
Raiders, Giants 3-point dogs at home. Fat Guy, what do you think about this game?
I don't think that much, to be honest. This is a look-ahead line, considering that the Giants play tomorrow as 10-point underdogs against the Chiefs. The Giants do stand to lose some things here. I mean, it's not going to be – they could get injured, right? Daniel Jones could get injured. And, you're going to say what you want about Daniel Jones, but it's at the end of the day, quarterback is the most important position in as far as win probability in all of sports. It just is. So an injury to Daniel Jones would hurt this would negatively move against the Giants. This might even move to 6, or depending on who. I can't recall who the backup is at this moment. So it's been everybody from Geno Smith to Kyle Lauletta. So I'm not sure who the current backup is, but that's just really going deep on it. If a Daniel Jones injury, which for his sake, I don't hope it happens. But in this case, we're just going to take the Raiders, considering we know their health and they're coming off a bye. So the things can only be negative for the Giants. And if they get blown out, I would imagine that'll enhance Raiders betting tickets. There'll be a little bit more of them, especially at this low price of 3 theoretically. So Raiders -3 for potential closing line value in conjunction with a look-ahead injury for the New York Giants.
Chicken Little Mike Glennon, the backup quarterback for the New York Giants.
Geez.
Next up, New England at the
6.5.
Carolina Panthers. Panthers +2.5 at home. Fat guy, what do you think about this? Is there any closing line value on either side?
Yeah. I think this settles on New England 3. That's my guess. So 2.5. That half point would be enough for me to bet, and did. So New England -2.5 is definitely the play. I'm not sure if that's going to be available, because don't forget, we're doing this the market's very active right now, right? So there's going to be a lot of these lines are going to be moved. This is filmed just before and during Sunday Night Football, so there's going to be a lot of movement during this early phase. I mean, it's not going to be as much as probably during the week, but that's not necessarily true. There's less money bet, but there's more movement during these periods. So New England -2.5 is going to be the play, because I feel it's going to level off at 3.
And next up, Minnesota Vikings at the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens 5.5 point favorites at home. Currently, Vikings are playing at the moment, Fat Guy.
Exactly the same setup as the Raiders Giants. Baltimore has the week off, and they're coming off a bye, and the Vikings are currently playing. So we know the health of the Ravens. Do we know the health of the Vikings? Absolutely not. So this is incomplete information. So I'm going to go with the complete information. Lay the points with the Baltimore Ravens, because things can only really get worse on this look-ahead line for the Minnesota Vikings. It'll be Ravens -5.
Next up, Cleveland Browns at the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals 3-point favorites at home in this divisional matchup. Fat Guy, is there any closing line value on either side?
Yeah. The Bengals have complete egg on their face. This is one where I think you should bet as early as possible. If it shifts to 2.5, I think you should take the Browns money line. I think the Browns are just a better team. I think this is a mispricing. Not to mention, I think the Bengals probably knocked off more Survivor players than any other game this year. You know what I mean? It might maybe Tennessee against the Jets. The Jets have done some dirty work for a lot of people. Not me though. I stayed away from this one. Fat Guy, still in it, still got it. So Cincinnati Bengals, I think, are going to close as 1-point favorites. You know what I mean? I could see this going as low as a pick 'em. I get that the Browns lost too, but that was it's a more of a forgivable loss, wouldn't you say, Big Rye, for the Browns against the Steelers?
Yep.
You know, and thanks to the insight, you can kind of see Mike White hasn't even started a game. I believe he's a rookie. So seeing this type of really bad loss is going to sting bettors, and it's going to be hard for them to go to the window for the Bengals. So I think it's going to have more public support for the Browns, in addition to probably balanced pro betting. I don't know if pros like laying 3 with the Bengals, so that might even shift it further. So I think there's going to be movement against the Browns, and I think you should buy this one early. I like the Browns to just win this game. I like a money line play on the Cleveland Browns, +3 in the contest.
And Mike White, 2018 5th-round pick by the Dallas Cowboys.
There you go.
Next up, the Buffalo Bills travel to Jacksonville to take on the Jags, who are 10.5-point dogs at home. Fat Guy, only 3% of bettors are on the Jags. And I know part of our YouTube membership, the Discord, people are talking about how poor the coaching is in Jacksonville.
Absolutely. And might I add, that's 3% of the early betting market, right? So that the early betting market,
100 bets so far.
Yeah. So there's 3 people. Early market, you kind of want, the pros are usually sniping to try and get a dog, right? It's not often that a favorite's going to be at such a good price. And I think this should close at 14.5. So I've already bet the Bills early. I didn't get quite as good a line as what's here. and I hate laying double-digit points. And I've said, oh, I'm not going to do it. Like, don't hold my feet to the fire for this one. I'm definitely going to take the Bills. I think this is a great price. I think it should close around 14.5. Jaguars are of the most abysmal coaching. I will give him credit though, in terms of he did go for it a couple times. I didn't have the game on completely, but I did see 2 separate incidents where they did go for it on 4th down to negative results. So how many people can you really get to bet on the Jags? So this might even have legs above 14.5, like I said, and this could close around 16.5, much like the Houston line against the LA Rams. And Houston covered pending on where you got it. If you got Houston at close, that was a cover by 1 point. So like it's so funny. I actually have more faith in Houston in like a backdoor cover situation than I do Jacksonville. As sad as that is to say, this might be the worst team in football. If you tie in coaching in conjunction with a weak roster and a rookie quarterback. I don't really care about the player stuff nearly as much as I do coaching. I will say this though, and this is almost a benefit for the Bills in terms of covering a spread. The Bills have terrible time management at the end of games. They still run their closeout offense is still a throwing offense. They don't try and take the timeout. So in theory, like they're gonna give up a lot of win probability percentages, but they're gonna cover more big numbers. So in this instance, bad coaching decisions are actually favoring the Bills in terms of covering a big number. So I actually really like this one. I've already bet it in real life. I like the Bills. Minus 10.5 is a cakewalk. I say easy, but it is by cakewalk. It has
closing line value.
It has great closing line value. Thank you. Bills minus 10.5, and I think it closes past the golden number of 14. Book it.
Fat Guy, next one is the Houston Texans traveling to Miami to take on the Dolphins, who are surprisingly 7-point favorites at home. But, people really dislike the Houston Texans, including the books.
Yeah, well, Houston's been costing them money, so they've had to inflate these lines. But at close, they might have got their worst result, to be honest, the book. Mm-hmm. Because think about it. If everyone bet the Rams leading up to it, and then at close, everyone bet, people bet the Houston Texans. They might have got killed on that number. That might have been the worst result. So I don't imagine they like the Texans here because they can't get it right. However, though, I love the Texans in this spot because there is a probability that Tyrod Taylor plays. And if he does play, this is a 2-point game. Miami -2. It really is. Like at worst, Miami -3. And then that just offers tremendous value. I bet this last week as a look-ahead line, and I urged in the Discord other members to do so. I thought this would have opened at 6, though. I thought there would have been a shift downwards, which makes me a little bit more bearish on the status of the Tyrod Taylor injury. But any way you slice it, I'm going to bet on that improbability because I'd rather have a so-so to a slightly bad price on the Texans at 7 now with Davis Mills than miss out on a tremendous upside of Tyrod Taylor playing, starting against the Dolphins and having a 7-point cushion, which I think is just way, way, way too much. So all of that being said, we're gambling on gambling here. Let's get a good price with the Texans on bullish Tyrod Taylor news. And Tyrod Taylor hopefully starting. So Texans and the points.
Fat Guy, next up, this is the last early game. Denver at Dallas. Dallas 7.5-point favorites at home. And a caveat, Dallas is playing right now without Dak Prescott for Sunday Night Football.
Well, we have to pick these, and even though it's off the board at the moment, this is just we try and get the video out as early as humanly possible. The hook is enough for me to take the Broncos. 7 is still very much a key number. Denver is generally a team that's going to be able to keep it close. So I feel like there's more value in points rather than like taking them on the money line. Denver's one of those teams that has more traditional value. So I think they're more valuable in taking points. And 7.5 is that hook, that 5.5 point is a key number, big time. And Dallas, we don't know the status of their health, so it can really only go negatively. And Dak Prescott isn't 100% to start. I would probably put him at 95%. because I think he could have started this game if they really, really wanted to. But all of that being said, I think this is a clear Denver Broncos play. And I think it'll more likely settle on 7 as well, too, with Denver pulling off a win against the having a tough year football team. So Broncos in the points.
Next up, we move on to the late day games, as they like to say. LA Chargers at the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles 3-point dogs at home, despite their large win. Fat guy, who you got? Or where's the closing line value?
I don't know. I really don't. Like, I'm not sure of the recency bias on the Eagles. Like, how much street cred do you get for busting up the Lions? Like, how much do you get? And the Chargers, like, how much do you lose from losing to the Patriots? This will be an interesting one. I don't really know. So when in doubt, I'm just going to pick who I think has a better chance of covering this, and I like the LA Chargers. I know laying points isn't my forte, but that's what we're going to be doing here. But I really want to see how this market develops, because I'm curious about is the public waning on the Chargers? And have the Eagles got it a little bit back, even if it is against the winless Lions. So we'll have to see. As far as the contest is concerned, LA Chargers -3.
Next up, Green Bay Packers at Arrowhead, playing the Kansas City Chiefs, 2.5-point favorites at home. Fat guy, is there closing line value on this game?
Probably, and I'm going to say on the Chiefs more than likely. I think this settles on 3. I really do. Maybe 3 with bad juice, and oddly 3.5 in the most extreme of cases. This is if all things ceteris paribus, all things are the same, say the same. I don't know why I tried to pull out Latin when I certainly don't speak it. So the Chiefs, this is a look ahead line. The Chiefs are playing tomorrow against the Giants. So we don't know the injury status of the team, considering they haven't played yet. So this is technically a little bit of gambling, but in this case, I do like the Chiefs. Obviously, if there is a big injury, this could shift against them. But if the Chiefs do come out healthy, I think this is a good price for them at -2.5. So we're just going to have to see. Chiefs -2.5.
Next up, Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers. 3.5 points is spotted to the Arizona Cardinals here. 97% of bets on the Cardinals. Fat guy, is their closing line of value?
Yeah, but I'm starting to wonder, did I make the right choice here? Because I think this is a 3 game, but is the public going to feel the same, right? And in conjunction with the pro money bet, I'm not really sure. So I don't know. But the part of why is you have to. So even if, say there's 97%, which usually is a pretty good indicator that closing line value is going to be on the cards, it's going to shift 4. I'd rather take that that probability, right? Because if it shifts down to 3, that's like a death knell on this game. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you can maybe take the Cardinals, but that's just such a loss in win probability for the Niners that you just could, I don't know, I wouldn't be able to bet them at 3, right? This half point is just so valuable that if it goes to 4, I'd be okay, I don't really care as much, because 4 isn't nearly as key number. It goes to 3, God, it'd just be such a missed opportunity. So 3.5 at let's call it a weighted closing line value, because if it moves to 4, I don't care. If it moves to 3, I'd be really upset if I didn't have the 49ers. So Niners with the most important hook in all of sports, 3.5.
And ironically, if it's Arizona 2.5, we probably like Arizona in this case.
Yeah.
Or maybe not like them, but it's more even.
Well, I would bet them. I would bet Arizona minus 2.5. Absolutely.
So it just shows you how key it is. It's we don't care which side. It doesn't matter which side. It's about the price that you're getting. You bet the number, not the team.
Exactly. 3, we both think 3 is nice. The half point on each side, that would push us.
On to the next one, which is a terrible example now, because we have Tennessee at the LA Rams. Rams -4.5. So the key numbers of 3 and 4 have gone. Fat guy, there has to be value here on Tennessee, right?
That's not the case. There's still other key numbers, right? The Rams, there's still a key number of 6, for instance, here. 6 is in the conversation now, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. According to our research, 6 is increased in value with the missed pat. So I want to be able to add it to my arsenal because I could see this game closing at Rams -6.5. So I think closing line value can be had on the Rams. I think it could close at 6.5. Even with the Tennessee Titans pulling off their overtime victory, if anyone watched that game, it wasn't titillating bettors. And as far as fantasy goes, that's going to somehow be negative because people are very invested in the Derrick Henry numbers, which weren't as good as usual in that Tennessee Indy game, which was bizarre. Let's put it that way. It makes no difference for me. I don't care what anyone does in fantasy. It makes zero difference in any of my choices. But you have to look at these things and think how the casual $50 better bets. That's what you want to know, and that's what I try and it's like the movie Cell with Jennifer Lopez. Let's get in the mind of that serial killer and find that captive person. Weird 90s reference. Anyways, we'll take the Rams. We'll take the 4.5 points because I think this will shift, and I think the Rams will close at 6.5, and I'll get closing line value.
And thanks for the shout out, Fat Guy. On to the next one. Chicago Bears at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers 5-point favorites at home. Is there closing line value in this game?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. I'm not like heavy on this one. I think 5 is okay, but 5's a malleable number, okay? Because it's not very key, so it'll shift quicker. You know what I mean? Like it's more elastic, so it's more reactive. So it wouldn't take much to shift it. So yeah, I guess because of that reason, there probably is. Do I know which side? Of course not. If I had to make an educated guess, it would be the Steelers. The Bears were unable to cover against the Niners despite playing a pretty good game of football, and the Steelers pulled off an upset, right? So I think that there's going to be, like, this is a Monday night game, so there is going to be more, like, if this was a Sunday morning game, I'm not sure there'd be more than 1 point moving, but I could see this at Steelers -6.5 just because it's Monday night, and casual bettors bet just to bet. Like, they bet because it's on television. So this will get more attention than I think it deserves from the betting market. And I think that more than likely than not, casual bettors will bet the Steelers, thus making the Steelers a good bet, possibly a good number at 5, because the key number of 6 is still within its grasp. So I'll take the Steelers and I'll lay the 5 points.
Fat Guy, on to the lightning round. New York Jets at the Indianapolis Colts Thursday night.
The 2-win Jets.
The Sunday early games, Atlanta at New Orleans.
Hopefully up against Trevor Siemian, the Atlanta Falcons.
Raiders at the Giants.
Raiders -3.
Pats, Panthers.
The Pats -2.5.
Vikings, Ravens.
Off the bye, Baltimore, alliteration.
Browns at the Bengals.
Browns, I like them to win this game. Cleveland.
Bills at the Jags.
Closing line value before the key number of 14, Buffalo Bills.
Houston at Miami.
Tyrod's Texans. I almost said Titans. Could be one day. +7.
Denver at Dallas.
Denver in the hook.
The late games, LAC at Philly.
Showing my bias, LA Chargers.
The Green Bay Packers at the Kansas City Chiefs.
Chiefs -2.5. Healthy Chiefs.
Arizona at San Fran.
San Fran in the hook.
And then on to Sunday Night Football, Tennessee at the LA Rams.
CLV with the LAR.
And Chicago at Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, recreational closing line value -5.
And congratulations to the one, the only, the myth, the legend, JS715, going at 9-4 and winning the tiebreaker, because there was like a 5 or 6 way tie at 9-4. But he was closest to the pin on the OU of the Monday night game for Week 7. So congrats to JS715. He already knew he won, but I know he's looking forward to this shout out. So congrats, and keep up the funny names. And the Week 8 leaderboard, Fat Guy, we have Art 999 at 10-3. We have Fat Guy's best friend and the real Slim Brady at 9-4. And then we have a plethora of people, 8-5, including us, whatever it is. Blue Build 93, CSK Colty Boy 69 continues his strong play. Josh Allen, Mike J, Mussman, the Busman, and more. And then Fat Guy onto the leaderboard for the year. Colty Boy has taken a 4-game lead here. He's sitting up top, 61.5%. Worm and CSK are tied at 58.1, 68 out of 120 plays. But people are starting to come back to that 50% number you can kind of see overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's regression to the mean. That's what we've been saying a lot lately. And yeah, you fly that high, you're going to crash that hard. It's just math. There's no way to keep it up. If someone finishes over 60, I'd be impressed.
And then on to the JS715 name of the week, honorable mentions.
Lost $2,000 last week betting the Chiefs -6.5. I know the feeling. Don't worry. I'm selling my picks at a major discount. New York prices. Okay. Grasshopper is available for Fat Guy. Apparently I need a diet because Fat Guy is gynecomastia. I'm not even in an A cup. Let's be real here. But if I do gain more weight, how could gravity not get me? You know what I mean? Participation atrophy. Progression to the mean. Only positive thing the Lions have is the COVID test, probably. And hot cup of tea. Cooper Kupp and T. Higgins.
Yeah, the only one who needs a gynecomastia is me.
This is the JS715 name of the week. Whoa, kaboom!
Did you know Vincent Vega had a son that does betting market videos? I put this in there just because it was finally the only positive thing I've heard about Big Rye, especially his appearance. And then he's just bothered me this entire video, and I regret putting it up there.
Make your picks against the spread for Week 9 at BigRyanTheFatGuy.com. Remember, there is a 100 USD prize in Bitcoin to the regular season winner. Fat Guy, that's it. That's the pick video for Week 9. It seems like there's decent closing line value, and we have quite a few games here where the spreads are going to be nice and close. A lot of 5-star value games.
Absolutely. All I need you to do, Big Rye, is remember that I'm in charge.
That is true, and if I do come to your house later and knock on your door, just please be kind.